Hi there, my name's Cari. I'm the UX copywriter for Findmypast, and this is my mum, Sylvia. My mum and I have been talking about family history quite a lot recently. Two reasons. First of all, because nurses have been in the news quite a lot, and we've been talking about her experience as a nurse when she was young. We've been talking a lot about her experiences in this country when she first came here in her 20s, and that's why we're here. We just thought we'd open up the conversation. I think it's important to hear your family stories, just to know a bit more about them, and also who you are as well. It informs who you are as a person in ways that you don't understand at the time. So tell us a bit about what it was like in St Vincent when you were growing up.
A very happy childhood. My parents had 7 children, and most people had that number of children. But there was a lovely community spirit where people looked out for each other. Mm-hmm. At times, we children felt it too strict, mm-hmm. because your child was not only your child, the child belonged to the community there, mm-hmm. and you had to behave yourself whether you were at home or out of your parents' sort of care, mm-hmm. And because it was a small community we lived in, everyone knew everyone else and looked out for each other. Mm-hmm. A lot of freedom to and fro, it was happy.
Speaking of England, mm-hmm. what did you know about it when you were growing up in St Vincent? What did you hear about England?
I knew that England was referred to as the mother country.
Right.
I knew that we were said to be British. They had pictures of the royal family of the time on display, and they made it known that we had a kind of affiliation, a kind of connection to the royal family and to England.
So, as you said, when you were growing up, you were always told that England was the mother country. Mm-hmm. So when you'd see the royal family on TV, did you relate to them at all? Because they didn't look anything like anyone you knew growing up. Did you feel a connection to them?
I felt like I had a certain connection because from time to time, a member of the royal family would do a visit. And it would be a big thing. Even at the coronation, the last coronation.
What made you decide to move to England?
The decision, because at the time, there was an invitation not only for my St Vincent but for the Caribbean as a whole for young people to become nurses and other workers to move to England if they wished to. And I was still living at home, and the temptation and the freedom to escape parental control was great. Was good. I was at the time a trainee primary school teacher, and it was chosen for me. We didn't have much choice there. It was a good opportunity to try something else, and I opted for nursing.
So remind me, what year was it that you first arrived in the UK?
May 1962. I travelled by ship. MV Scania. Yeah. There were lots of us from my island and also different islands. I was traveling with friends, and it was absolutely exciting because that was the first time I was out of parental control.
What were you expecting before you arrived to England, and what met you there?
Well, my expectations, I believe, was that everyone would be as open, as friendly as it is in St Vincent, that you would just not in everyone's face, but walk by and say good morning, because in St Vincent you dare not walk by an older person and not say good morning, good afternoon, or your parents would soon hear about it. But in England, that was the first thing that struck me. Nobody said or greeted you when you passed by. In fact, many would turn their heads. That was the first strange, because we're all human beings. what harm could come from saying good morning? And after you have that first experience, then you withdraw within yourself.
So would you say you felt welcome when you first arrived? Did you feel part of things?
When it was time to go out and about, then you realized you were not welcome here. I was able to compare the welcome I received here from indigenous people here with the welcome and the life we live in St Vincent, because there are English people living in St Vincent, have been for generations. They are settled there, welcome there, and we go about our different business, not sidelining anyone, not refusing to greet anyone. It wasn't the same here. You were not welcomed. No one wanted to speak to you. No one wanted to acknowledge you as a neighbor. I went shopping, and I remember one of a fellow shopper, a fellow lady said to me when the shop staff said to me, "You can take it home and try it, this garment." And the other person next to me said, after she's put it on, that you expect me to try it after her?
Wow.
Yes, I have to wear it after. And when you experience such behavior early, you kind of withdraw. You learn that this is the way it's going to be, and you keep to yourself, keep to your own kind. I was so lonely, so homesick. But after I found another nurse training school, matters improved, because there were other girls there from the Caribbean, in the same boat as myself, if you like. Not only from the Caribbean, lots of international girls from Italy, France, Germany, Spain, Africa. And we gelled, and we enjoyed the training and made a life for ourselves.
I remember you always used to tell me stories about doing your hair in secret in the room. How did that go?
Because there were no black hairdressers in the vicinity of the hospital or the nurse's home. I don't think there were any, even in the town, because at that time, the fashion was to straighten the hair with a heated curler, and there was no one around, and we had to improvise, of course, with a small, like, oil heater. It was a tiny one, and straighten each other's hair, and we had to be careful because we were not allowed to have such flames in the bedrooms, and we were worried that we would not be allowed to have it in the building, not let alone in your bedroom. But we got by with that.
So how many years in total do you think you worked for the NHS?
About 45 years.
And what was the biggest change that you saw?
The biggest change, the best change was that in the latter years of my work, the National Health Service decided that we need to be retrained in a certain measure every 5 years. Every 5 years you had to go forward for a refresher course. I can't remember exactly what it's called. You're dealing with human life, human beings, and I think that was the best thing.
So did you know anything about your family history when you were growing up? Like grandparents, great-grandparents? Do you know anything about them?
No, I had never really met my great-grandparents, but my grandparents never said anything about their ancestry, about where their parents have come from. And throughout the years, I've often wondered did they realize they were slaves? Our parents and great-grandparents. Did anyone tell them they were slaves? What did they call themselves?
What do you mean by that? Did they realize they were slaves?
Did they realize they were brought from another country? Because it was never discussed in our family or anywhere else. The little I know of it is what I got from school, but my my grandparents, the ones I knew, they never said anything about slavery. They never talked about our African connections. They never did that. They talked more about England. We don't even know which country in Africa our ancestors came from.
Obviously, when you first came to the country, it was the 1960s. This was not a time of racial integration in the UK, certainly. Did you have any bad experiences when you were here, any experiences of racism?
Yes, I certainly did. That even in the nurses' dining room, people didn't want to sit next to you at the dining table.
Some were reluctant and wondered why we had to share the same dwelling, the same nurse's home.
I can't imagine what that must have been like for you, because everything that you heard from the Caribbean is that England would be a welcoming place, that you're all part of the same nation, mother country, etc. So you must have been completely unprepared for experiences like that.
I was unprepared. I was definitely unprepared, because this is not the way we treat those British people who are living on our island. No. Those are the things that you had to put up with. Another experience I had from a different colleague, her desk was not far from mine, we shared an office. She took her handbag, opened it, I think I told you this, opened the purse, exposed the notes, the bank notes, and left it there. She left the office, and when I was ready to do my outdoor morning round, I said I better go and find her, because there's nobody here watching this. And when I went, as soon as she saw me, she flew out of the place where she was chatting with others like a bat in hell, to run back to make sure that her money was still there. That was the impression I got. She didn't say anything to me, but as soon as she saw me, she ran like a bat in hell. And I followed her. And she grabbed up, checking. They don't allow you to be a normal human being. You know, you're always being tested.
Or just doing, if you're just doing regular stuff,
yes,
there's like a suspicion around it.
Yes.
It's like, I'm locking my own bicycle.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Everyone relax.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So if you had a chance to go back in time and greet the 21-year-old Sylvia as she gets off the MV Escania, what would you say to her?
I would say, come with an open mind. If I had remained in St Vincent, I probably would have done nursing training there, or remained with teaching. I don't know. But I would say that make sure everything is finalized, tied up nicely before leaving. I try and focus on the positive. Get on with your life. Get on with what is important in your life.
So where do you feel more at home now? The UK or St Vincent?
Well, this is very interesting, because I feel more at home here.
In your opinion, why do you think it's important for other people to know about your history and your experiences?
Well, first and foremost, for my children to know of their roots, that especially living away from St. Vincent, is that here not much value is placed on our experiences, our upbringing. And if we were growing up in St. Vincent, you and I, my children and I, you would see it around you. You would see many positives around you. You would learn from everyone around you. And you would know that as a human being, never mind our mother-daughter relationship, as a human being in that St. Vincent, that we are just like anyone else, wanting the best for our family, our children, just like anywhere else in the world. With the resources we have, we make the best use of it. I have done that. My parents have done that for me. And you have the same, intelligence, the same opportunity. With what is available here, you can be the best person that your intelligence allows you to be. I don't want you to think that because we're often marginalized that you can't reach. It is up to you, right? That's my background. I think in some ways you have more than I have grown up with. And I have left there, and I have come here, and I have managed with all the obstacles, with all the negatives. I've managed.
More than managed.
So you should do twice as much as I have done.
It's always a pleasure to hear more about Mum's experiences and also how she felt at the time, because you hear about what she went through, like how it felt to arrive, like a little bit about her family, but you don't get to walk through her thoughts and what it was like to be a young person then. So yeah, it's always a pleasure. It makes me empathize a lot more, and it makes me feel closer to her as well.